Did you find out that Roberts was able to get back to the department?
Hey Rand, Abby Martin from Media Roots. I just wanted to ask you one quick question. You know, your endorsement for Mitt Romney, people have a lot of questions about it. I just wanted to see your opinion on it. What do you think about all of Ron Paul's followers and just your father's movement catering to the establishment that's shut you guys out for so long? Are you concerned with what this is going to do for the liberty movement as a whole, sir? Sir, Romney endorses all of the policies that you've been voting against for so long. NDAA, drones. He wants to expand the military to twice its size. Do you have any comment on that, sir? Your endorsement to him just blanketly says that all those policies should be enacted. Okay.
Christy Hightower here for PlanetInfoWars.com. You patriots sure are talking. Have you ever given it a second thought when an employee asks to see your receipt as you leave a store? No? Well, welcome to what we call prison training. Do what you're told, don't think twice. Well, semantics aside, Planet InfoWars user Sanchez explains exactly why showing your receipt is a bad idea in his appropriately titled article, Why You Should Never Show Your Receipt Again. He confronts us with the idea that if you cannot stand up to the little old lady demanding to see your receipt at Walmart, what do you expect to do when the military shows up on your door making demands of you? It's a good reminder that if you forget to claim your rights, you will lose them. See what other patriots are talking about on PlanetInfoWars.com.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at INFOWARS.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. INFOWARS.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at INFOWARS.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to the interview portion of InfoWars Nightly News. Our next guest is one of the leading survivalist experts in the United States, one of the most read as well. Survivalblog.com is his website. James Wesley Rawls. He's been an enthusiastic survivalist since his teenage years. He's a survivalist author and lecturer and the editor, again, of survivalblog.com. He has a Bachelor of Arts degree from San Jose State University with a minor degree in military science, history, and military history. And he's a former U.S. Army intelligence officer who held top secret security clearances with special background in investigation and access to sensitive compartmented information. And I'll just leave it at that. And again, he's also a expert in the nuclear, chemical, biological defense officers course, or the Army NBC Defense Officers course, as well as Northern Warfare School at Fort Greely, Alaska. And I remember back in the mid-'90s reading some of his books that had come out in the early '90s, really forecasting much of now what has unfolded. And he writes kind of these historical novels, but that are set in the future. The latest is Survivors, a novel of the coming collapse. So he puts it in a novel form, but there's real people in these books as well. And it's a great way to get this information across to the general public. Again, his book is available in stores everywhere and at InfoWars.com. We'll also talk about some non-fiction survival books and more today here as well. for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. Now, before we went live here, I asked Mr. Rawls some of the subjects he wanted to cover, and they're exactly the ones I wanted to get to. Upcoming vote in Greece, preparedness for the banking crisis from Europe affecting the U.S., general preparedness, preparation for an internet attack. But I want to get to that after I ask him this first question. We are seeing a total acceleration of open world government being announced just since he was on 3 months ago or so. We're seeing the announcement of 30,000 armed drones to enforce Agenda 21. The military openly announcing they'll use foreign troops in America. The head of the Army coming out, the civilian head, and the CFR 2 weeks ago saying, we want rapid reaction troops, regular Army Marines in every citizen area, basically going after the American people inside every city. Just amazing developments that we've seen being prepared in the shadows. It's all rolling out. And my concern is that means they're getting ready to activate. They wouldn't be admitting all this and doing public announcements if they weren't getting ready or preparing to go operational. We'll get his take on that. But we are definitely living in some wild times. And I remember Bob Chapman before he died with his sources in U.S. embassies. My sources then confirmed it, that a year and a half ago they were getting rid of dollars and denominating in gold and a spectrum of other currencies at U.S. embassies worldwide. The plans for bank holidays in Europe and to control ATMs and use the borders they've been firing back up, not to keep the immigrants out, but to keep the people of Europe in. That's all been announced in the Associated Press, Reuters, you name it, 2 days ago. So it's one thing to, again, academically, intellectually follow history, follow the documents that leak, the sources, to see this being built in the warehouse. I mean, it's kind of like those old films from World War I, World War II, where they open up this big giant curtain and there's a battleship and then it slides into the water. We peeked behind and saw the battleship being built against us. Now the curtains are open, they're chopping the blocks, it's going into the water. And it's announcing, don't run, we're your friend. So this is really serious. I want to ask him first, does he agree that things are accelerating? And B, why are they moving so quickly now? So again, the proprietor of survivalblog.com, James Wesley Rawls. James, thanks for coming on. You heard my lengthy diatribe question there. Give us your analysis on that point.
Well, thanks for having me on. Yes, I believe that things are accelerating. There's a lot of policy planners in the Obama White House, and especially in Europe, that are pretty frantic right now. They see the European Economic Union falling apart at the seams. The whole southern periphery of the Eurozone seems to be in huge trouble economically. There's virtually no way that they could repay their loans. The Greeks back in May had a referendum which basically failed on austerity. And since then, they've been under the period of an internal agreement with the EU called the Minimonio, where they've established bridge loans. But basically, everyone's waiting to see what's going to happen with this vote on Sunday. We're recording this here June 15th, a Friday. In just 2 days, there's going to be this second vote in Greece. And no one's really sure what's going to happen at the tail end of this. All I can say with certainty is there's virtually no way they can pay this money back. It's a mountain of debt. And interest rates are starting to spike in Greece, Italy, and Spain. And that's indicative that the euro isn't going to hang in there, that there's going to be a collapse of the euro. In the short term, I think we could see the dollar gain value versus the euro. And there could be some economic benefit briefly here in the United States. But in the long run, because our debt situation is almost as bad as Greece's.
Sure, it creates a black hole effect anyways. It's like they're falling, but we're falling, but right beside them as well. But it creates a momentary uplift as people run into the dollar in fear.
It's relative safety in the dollar. a long-term prognosis is just as bad. In fact, in total dollars, it's much worse. As a percentage of GDP, it's worse in Greece. But if you look at the total indebtedness, it's huge in the United States. And inevitably, what's going to happen is a certain chain of events. We'll have chaos in Europe. We'll probably see a banking crisis there, full-scale bank runs, bank holidays, and all that. Interest rates will spike. But then the credit rating agencies like Moody's and Fitch are going to downgrade the United States. And when that happens, that's the key trigger event, because we've been under an era of ZIRP, which is zero interest rate. When we get away from ZIRP and interest rates start to go up, and they have to go up when the U.S. government's credit worthiness is downgraded, people are going to start demanding more and more interest to continue to invest in U.S. treasuries. At that point, all bets are off, because the current debt progressions are based on essentially zero interest rates in terms of true interest versus inflation. If we start having to pay 3%, 4%, 5% on short-term treasury paper, and anywhere from 5 to 15% on long-term paper, our ability to repay our debts will be no better than the nation of Greece. And we'll go through our own crisis, just like this, but on a grand scale. Once interest rates move, watch out.
Well said. One more question along these lines, then I want to get into the other points that you'd like to get into, because I agree with you. They're extremely important. I remember, I guess back in 1998, so almost 14 years ago, economist George Humphrey, who's also a successful private businessman here in Austin, Texas, city council person as well, a friend of mine, saying the global elite, the private Federal Reserve, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they're going to sell these derivatives, have government sign on, it'll be over 1,000 trillion, they'll implode it the next 10 to 15 years. Out of that, they'll announce a Bank of the World as the savior. I mean, Humphrey literally on my radio show and in some books and tapes he put out, laid it completely out with absolute precision. And then other people, I remember Bob Chapman 5-6 years ago, countless others saying, this is done on purpose. This is a consolidation. They get us to sign on to Too Big to Fail. In 2008, all the experts I interviewed said it's designed to get worse. Europe, then Asia, then the U.S., they'll fall like dominoes. It's a consolidation. Bank of the World will be announced. I saw Bilderberg members brag, like Etienne Davignon, that yes, we set up the euro to consolidate Europe. They designed it to bankrupt things and to, quote, have it fail, and then offer a new superstructure as the answer. But a lot of the experts I agree with now say that they've overdone it so bad that they may even destroy themselves. But clearly, this was engineered to a great extent, but they may have gone too far. Or all these guests I had on, all these experts, and my own analysis, we were wrong, but we were right. We were right about what was going to happen, but we were wrong about the elite being in control of it. I know that's kind of some